So Blake Lively amends her complaint against Justin Baldoni. She alleges other women were, in fact, harassed and that they will testify and that the amount of online vitriol aimed at her is extremely dangerous. We've got the complaint. We've got a special guest. Hot Mics with Billy Bush, presented by our friends at LA Golf, starts right now. All right, let's get into it. How you doing? We're live on TuneIn and YouTube, and if you are watching right now on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's free, and frankly, we need you, okay? Big guest coming up later on. I don't know if you saw this, but A$AP Rocky, not guilty. Rihanna, explosions in the courtroom, emotional. Oh, my God, it's like legal week here at Hot Mics. We've got Big Taco, Joe Tacopina, who represented Trump twice, but he represented A$AP Rocky and got him his freedom. So he'll be in studio with us after we get done talking about this amended complaint, which Blake Lively filed, her legal team did, last night at 11:59 p.m. All right. This is their amended complaint now against Justin. Remember, they asked for the date of March 5th to get this in. The judge said, no. Get this to me right after President's Day weekend. Here are the bullet points of what's inside. They allege Mr. Baldoni's social combat plan, which I've never heard of before. This is an SCP. A social combat plan has resulted in the viral spread of hateful, threatening, and derogatory harassment and cyberbullying, and that the environment is a culture of fear and intimidation. Is extremely dangerous. That's what they're saying right now. I think people are up in arms, and it's largely in Justin's favor. Witnesses, they say, have been threatened with physical violence. That's new. I didn't know that. So apparently anyone who saw what was going on has been found by people, and they're getting DMs or they're getting comments, and they're threatening physical violence. This is new. Did not know that. That's going to have to be proven. Blake provides no names of other victims. There's these 3 HR complaints that have been circulated around, alleged HR complaints that there were 2 other women at least who are alleging that Justin sexually harassed them too, but no names are provided in the amended complaint, so that's consistent. No text, no screenshots at this point. She says the reason for that is to protect them from further harassment, but that, as discovery gets going, these women, these other 2, will testify and produce all the documents in discovery. Okay, she's alleging firmly that other women did feel uncomfortable on set and did file complaints. It's so odd. They did file complaints, yet Sony says no complaints were filed. Blake says that these women, the other 2, have confided in her. And this is Blake's strongest shot. I will say, well, if she can produce these women and they do come forward and say, then it's something. As we know, one person is a lot different than 3 people. 3 people is a thing. And they're serious actors, so that would be something. Blake alleges that Sony did speak to Baldoni, like as in give him a talking to. And so, they reached out to one of the other women, Wayfair, Justin, and his partners. Apparently, they reached out to apologize and assure this woman, the other accuser, that adjustments to protocol would be made. Blake alleges the only adjustment that ended up actually taking place was that he went and hired a crisis PR team and litigators and digital manipulators, whatever they are, to smear her. Then Blake's lawyers quote Steve Sarowitz, who runs Wayfair Studio, is partners with Justin, and is a very rich man, a billionaire. They quote him as saying, "I will protect the studio like Israel protected itself from Hamas. There were 39,000 dead bodies. There will be 2 bodies when I'm done. Minimum. Not dead, but dead to a lot of people." We know, Steve. Steve, we know you're not going to go whack people. Okay. Blake confirms that she did not meet with the intimacy coordinator before production began on It Ends With Us, but that she did meet with the intimacy coordinator as production got underway, and that Justin definitely improvised off script while filming. Let me tell you something. I have watched that little slow dancing scene between Blake and Justin many times. And, Justin's legal team put it out. And, there's nestling, there's nuzzling. There's all moves that I pull when I'm slow dancing. I'm going to tell you, I pull these moves like you wouldn't believe. All right? This is how you make it believable. Even if who scripts? You nuzzle once, not twice. You don't get near the lip. You just under the chin. That's too much to think about. You've got two actors. She said, I'm good. He's good. I watched it. It doesn't seem creepy to me. It doesn't. Not even, let alone harassment. There's a room full of people, but not even creepy. Blake alleges also in the amended complaint that the Baldoni that we see is not the Baldoni in private, that he is two people. She claims it's a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation. In public, he talks about supporting and listening to women. When asked to make a simple statement about so I watched last night the Justin Baldoni TED Talk that he gave in 2017 in front of a room full of women. It was a lot. He was pandering to a group of women who were cheering like crazy, and he said this Me Too movement is just, it's terrible and it's men's fault and all this stuff. And, men don't, in general, men, he's not like, he is the man bun feminist. Okay. He's annoying in many ways, but he's not a sexual harasser, it doesn't seem at this point. And nothing that I've seen in the amended complaint is, getting me closer to that. Here's the thing. They say in the complaint also that when Justin was asked to make a simple statement about having run a troubling set as a director, his team told him to lawyer up. Well, remember Blake tried to pressure Justin into releasing this statement? This actually, so she and Ryan, her people, wrote a statement. And they wanted Justin to release it. This is around August when the movie's coming out, to release this statement as if it were his. Here's the statement. It ends with us was a troubled production, which we take full accountability for. So she wants Justin, here, Justin, read these words as if you wrote them. We just want you to put this out there and everything will be fine. We are very sorry to everyone we upset privately and publicly. Blake Lively, Colleen Hoover, the entire cast and crew. They led with professionalism every step of the way. Any negativity aimed at them is ours to own. We mutually agreed that the cast would be promoting the film separately. Really? You agreed you'd be promoting it from a basement while she's up on the red carpet? We've always said that we're not perfect, and even if unintentionally we make mistakes, we will always own them. We hold ourselves accountable. It's not just anyone's job, but ours, and that's part of being man enough. Oh my God, this is psycho. So she wrote, this is Man Enough was the podcast that Baldoni did back to, when he was loathing being a man, and he did it with this woman, Liz Plank, and they, this is how you become a better man podcast. So now they're invoking his own platform and stuff, and like she's become him writing this statement. Anyway, then it goes on to say, we will practice what we preach. We are learning and growing from the experience, and we thank everyone for their patience as we find a better way to proceed. Thank you to the cast and crew and public for the opportunity to be imperfect and to be given the space to learn and grow. Now, here, Justin, just take that statement, put it out, put your name on it, say that you wrote it, and we'll be good. Okay, this is nuts. On August 12th, 2024... this is where everything turns heavily. Baldoni's publicists had an exchange. This is Jennifer Abel and Melissa Nathanson, two publicists, because this statement was written and they wanted Justin to put it out. And Jennifer writes to Melissa, Blake and Ryan want Justin to put out a statement. This is unbelievable. This is crazy. Melissa Nathan responds to that and says, at what point do you fight? I say lawyer up now. So they did say lawyer up. And is that not what you would do? If someone's coming for you like that, you lawyer up immediately, and he was smart to lawyer up. He lawyered up with our guest from a couple days ago, Bryan Freedman, and that was a smart thing to do. Blake also says in the amended complaint that 2 years after Sony received these complaints, of course, Sony said they didn't receive them at all. Wayfair never launched an investigation into itself, like they said they were going to. Instead, they chose to retaliate. Retaliate? I think you mean defend. You defend yourself when someone attacks you for sexual harassment, and boy, did he ever. $400 million lawsuit against Blake and a $250 million defamation suit against the New York Times. That's how you defend yourself. Blake claims that Justin was happy taking credit for her edit of the film until she accused him of sexual harassment. Well, in that 179 pages that Baldoni's legal team put out, there are texts from editors that said, look, the testing didn't go so well for Blake's edit. We're putting back some of your stuff. Make most of your stuff back into the film. But you're an actress. An actress does not get to make an edit. This is insanity. As for the Baldoni camp, his lawyer and our guest from 2 days ago, Bryan Freedman, texted me this morning, their statement. Our clients have taken this matter and these issues very seriously, notwithstanding the jokes made publicly by the plaintiff, Blake, and her husband at Saturday Night Live. Her underwhelming amended complaint is filled with unsubstantial hearsay of unnamed persons who are clearly no longer willing to come forward or publicly support her claims. Well, Blake says they will come forward, just not yet. Since documents do not lie and people do, the upcoming depositions of those who initially supported Miss Lively's false claims and those who are witnesses to her own behavior will be enlightening. What is truly uncomfortable here is Miss Lively's lack of actual evidence. That is from Bryan Freedman. So, I think underwhelming is appropriate for this amended complaint. And we are in a culture right now where there's a fervor. A real fervor with which a lot of TikTokers are consuming the war between Blake and Justin. One of them is a top sleuth. I'm saying a top sleuth. She's got a lot of followers on TikTok. They love her stuff. Her name is Steph with the Deets. And she is right here joining us now on Hot Mics. Hello, Steph.
Hi, Billy.
I've seen you so often. I watch everything you're doing. How are you?
Thanks. I'm good. How are you?
I'm terrific. Thanks for being here. So, Steph, you're one who got a hold of these 3 alleged HR complaints that were allegedly shopped around to like the Daily Mail and Page Six and stuff. But ultimately, they passed. The newspapers passed on it because the names of the complainants and the dates were redacted. The New York Times got sued for this kind of thing. So in the amended complaint, Blake doubles down on the veracity of the harassment claims and says the other women on set definitely have complaints, and they are for real. You know who they are, or you think you know who you are.
Yeah, they're obviously assumptions. I mean, it's all alleged if it's coming from me, of course. But it sounds like it's Isabella who played young Lily, and then there's what's her name? Is it Jenny?
Jenny Slate is the
Jenny Slate.
Is the co-star, the best friend. Yeah.
Yeah, she played Justin Baldoni's character's brother in the movie. So it seems like it's from the both of them. But what's funny is that because in the amended lawsuit, obviously there was no like concrete evidence. It was hearsay. She said like these actors spoke with this Sony distributor, so someone from Sony was that these people went to complain, like put in the HR complaints. And they said that they were all written complaints. So, I mean, and with that said, if it's written like they do, you would think they have a copy of it. Justin Baldoni has allegedly seen these complaints. This is all coming from Blake's amended lawsuit. But it just seems like a little odd to me because if they all went to Sony, but Sony in August of 2024 said there were no HR complaints against Justin Baldoni. They went on record with Variety saying this. But in Blake Lively's original complaint, so before the amended one, she had stated that when she went to them on May 26th of 2023, when she went to a Sony person, they told her you need to like go to Wayfair, or like we don't have like any power over Baldoni and Heath. So it's all just not really adding up because why would everyone go to the Sony distributor after they told Blake, like, don't come to us?
Yeah.
It's just not making sense to me, honestly. And that's why I think the names are redacted, the dates are redacted. There's something fishy, obviously.
The names are redacted, but there's only 2 women who have major roles other than Blake in the movie, right? I mean, Jenny Slate plays her best friend, and the other one is the young woman who plays young Lily, Isabella Ferrer. And if she's one of the other accusers, which I think you and others have deduced that she probably is, one who claimed that Justin got a little too close to her and she could feel his hot breath
Yeah.
on her makeup, and he was asking her to have an orgasm on screen, and boy, won't that be hot, and all these weird, definitely weird things. But that's what, if she's one of them, she will have to explain why she sent this text to Justin after filming Wrapped. She said, "Thank you so much for this incredible experience on my first film. You're such a wonderful, smart, and sincere director, and you created such a comfortable, safe space for me. Couldn't ask for a more welcoming environment for my first film." I'm just like, okay.
Lawyers like came out and said like we've added all this evidence. It's not evidence. Hearsay is not evidence, and it's literally all hearsay. I think there were some text messages added from the Sony distributor. So her name, I believe, is Angie Giannetti. They added texts between her and Blake. It was just texts that were sent to Blake from Angie that are supposed to prove that Blake went to her when it comes to sexual harassment, but those texts prove nothing. They literally could have been about anything. So it's just, I really think they're scrambling. I think they're hoping maybe they could get Jenny or Isabella to come forward once
they
they go
better.
to court. But
Steph,
yeah, like that's what they're hoping for. But honestly, I wouldn't put it past like Blake and Ryan, honestly, to like pay them off to do that. And I really hate to say that, but I don't know why
everything
you
gets
wouldn't put names
discovered.
out there.
There's no way to get away
Yeah.
with that. Everything gets discovered. I mean, you just can't get away with anything. We live in a metadata world, and you know that, right? I mean, you've been into all the everything gets proven. If the two other women that are alleged to have complained don't come forward, you got a huge problem. And you got to get, and Sony, Sony said there are no complaints whatsoever, and they haven't said anything. You need two things: one of those women, both of those women, and you need Sony to say that there were complaints. So this whole thing goes nowhere.
Been?
Right?
I'm wondering if Sony, like, I don't know if they like played both sides. There was something that came out on Reddit. So there was something that came out on Reddit actually like 6 months ago. It was someone that had posted like, oh, like my neighbor works on set. It was random, but people just rediscovered it. No one really paid attention 6 months ago. And they literally described like most of what was happening nowadays. So, or from what we've heard. And they said something like, Blake actually threatened Sony. Like if they didn't let her like get the like go in the editing bay, just if she didn't get like her cut, she like held it over their heads that she was gonna go to New York Times. This is what this person was saying. So I don't know if Sony was playing like both sides, like telling Blake like, yeah,
Oh
yeah, we
yeah.
understand you, but being to like Justin, like we know this is crazy, like this we know what she's trying to do. So they're just trying to be like Switzerland here, but like they do need to speak up because in August, you can't go and say there's no HR complaints, and now apparently there's like 3 HR complaints, and they've all gone to Sony allegedly. So I'm waiting to see if they say something because they should.
Talking to Steph with the
And
deets. Oh, sorry, Steph with the deets from
no,
TikTok.
sorry,
Top sleuth. I like to call you Top Sleuth.
thanks. But I was gonna say like it's very interesting because if all three of these women went to Sony to complain, make these HR complaints, and nothing was done, and Justin was able to like keep doing what he was doing allegedly. Why would Blake not sue Sony? She's suing Wayfair, but Sony is nowhere in there. It's just not, like I said, the math isn't mathing.
I know Sony is so silent, but they can't be for long. They're going to have to come out in discovery too. I guess it will all be revealed. But this story is so riveting. Let me ask you, just what's at the core of your obsession with this story, Steph? What are the themes?
Honestly, I mean, I think it's honestly because when this all started, like back in August when it was all coming out about like Blake just being rude on set, people were saying it's really more had to do so with her like campaigning for the movie. And I'm someone that read the book and it was like a book I loved. So like when I saw them promoting the movie, I was like a little confused. I'm like, wow, like bring your florals, bring your girlfriends. I was like, oh, that's an interesting way to like promote this movie because it's a serious movie, a very like heavy topic. But I always liked Blake and Ryan. I thought they were a cute couple. I'm pretty sure I made a
Yeah.
video like before, like probably in July of 2024, like saying, oh, like how cute they are and whatnot. So at that time, like I could believe that Blake probably maybe didn't get along with people on set because I've heard rumors of that before. But then when December came along and she put in her complaint, the legal complaint against Justin and Wayfarer, at that time I was like, I believed her because I think most people would, because most people wouldn't make such serious, like you wouldn't expect a
Oh, everybody
especially
believed
famous
her.
person in the
Brandon's
spotlight.
all the other
Yeah,
co-stars and her co-stars from Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, America Ferrera and Alexis
yeah,
Bledel, and Brandon Sklenar, who plays the young Atlas in It Ends With Us. They all came rushing out for
yeah.
Blake. They can't be found now, but they came rushing out in the beginning. So you probably were like that, when you first read the New York Times thing, like, oh my God, this guy's horrible.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
he was nice. What turned it for you? What turns it for me is a $400 million bullshit, and then a $250 million I also see you, New York Times. That to me, I never understand when people are accused of something horrible, like anything less than a full-throated, vociferous response, like confuses me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he
So
gave
it
one.
was same. It was Justin Baldoni's countersuit. Like when, and I like read through every page, like I dissected it, and I was just like, he's giving us the evidence. Like I'm not seeing, like I saw what she was saying, but Blake didn't really give evidence. And then we learned that the evidence they gave, especially the text messages when it comes to the smear campaign, they were cherry picking them, putting them in a certain order, removing emojis. Like you can't do that. Like that's misleading, not to just the like public, but to like the court. I don't know how that's allowed. So when I saw things like that, and then especially like when the footage came out of them dancing, and Blake had said like certain things, like when we were dancing, he was speaking like in certain ways to me. He was doing this, but we saw it like with our own eyes. Like, no, you guys were two actors who just needed footage. They didn't need the audio, so you guys were talking about real life things. So it was just she was caught in her lies. And that just made me upset because seeing how they tried to really destroy his reputation, honestly, destroy his career, destroy his life, because Justin Maldoni is not as famous as Blake and Ryan. I did not know who he was before It Ends With Us, honestly. But that shouldn't matter. That shouldn't make you feel like you're able to like just ruin him just so. I think this is all for them to get the rights to It Starts With Us.
Yeah,
I think it's all for Colleen
but
Hoover to get the rights to It Starts With Us back. And then she already said she would give it to Ryan and Blake to make the sequel. But I don't even know why. If that is why they're doing this, they shouldn't, because no one will watch Ryan and Blake's sequel. At least I know I wouldn't.
I mean, I'm. Listen, Bryan Freedman told me the other day that there's no like morality clause or sexual harassment thing that Justin would have to give up the rights if he were caught in something like that. A lot of people have morality clauses. I guess that wasn't part of it. So this
Oh,
goes
okay.
to
No, I didn't know that. So that's interesting.
Well,
Good. Good to know.
this goes to motivation, but there's still motivation, right? The motivation, it seems like, but Colleen Hoover can still say she's got a problem. Right?
Yeah.
She can still go and say, I want to undo this rights deal that I did in 2019. I mean, Justin's had the rights to this stuff for 6 years. So, Colleen, if Colleen gets it back on her own, she says, I look around, well, I don't need to look any further. I know I want Blake and Ryan. And clearly there was a courtship, amongst them.
But it seems like Colleen is trying to change her tune now. Like she had posted in support of Blake, obviously when her New York Times article came out, and then because she went off Instagram like a month ago, she deactivated her account, and I think it was a week ago she reactivated her account.
Oh,
Anything that has to do with It Ends With Us or any photos with Blake, those are all gone. You would not know she was part of It Ends With Us. She was the author. She was the publisher. If you looked at her IG page now, because I
yeah.
think she's trying to distance herself, like plausible deniability, kind of like Brandon Sklenar now is like Mr. Switzerland, like and she liked a post that was talking about Brandon saying he's team It Ends With Us, not team Lively or team Baldoni,
He was
and
team
Colleen actually
unfollow
liked that.
Justin. He was team unfollow Justin
Exactly.
in the beginning. So Bethany Frankel says that the appearance of Ryan and Blake on Saturday Night Live was, quote, nothing short of genius, because the only way to weather a storm is to go straight through it. think generally I get that. There's an old Stoic philosophy, proverb that the obstacle is the way. You go through something
Hmm.
through the middle of it. I understand that. But these are, who makes career ending accusations about someone and then jokes about it? I've noticed that the late night guys like
Exactly.
Fallon and Kimmel and all these guys, they're not really touching it. Do you think it was smart or ill advised of SNL to have them?
I think it was ill-advised, but what we learned, so I don't know if you heard this, but I think his name is Q Card.
Cue
I
card
forget his first
Wally?
name. Yeah, Q Card Wally came out and said that line where they ask him like, "Hey, like, how have you been doing?" And he goes, "Why? What have you heard?" That line there, that wasn't supposed to originally. They weren't going to do anything that would be like controversial during his skit for Ryan, but Ryan wanted to put that in like last minute and had it changed. And they're like, as long as he was fine with it, SNL was like, okay, if you feel comfortable doing it. Ryan wanted to bring it up and joke about it, which is actually crazy because like you don't that is your wife sitting next to you that allegedly was sexually harassed on set and you're making like a joke out of it. I just don't know where they thought this would like sit well with anyone.
She looked surprised by it, though. I mean, like, she's an
She
actress,
did she
but she did
did.
look surprised. And I was wondering if Ryan was like, "Don't worry, babe. I got this. I got something planned. Don't worry, it's going to be great." And didn't tell her. But when he did it, I saw her. She wasn't quite Kevin Costner, but she was like, "Oh dear, what did you
Yeah,
just do?"
she was pretty shocked. She seemed like afraid of what he was gonna because once he said why, what have you heard? She kept looking at him like, is he gonna continue? But then he went on to like the Conehead or whatever he was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Ryan is like the mastermind in this. Blake Lively is not innocent by any means. I think they're both pretty narcissistic, but in different manners. I think he kind of runs the show. Honestly, when I was reading that amended lawsuit last night, I felt like I was reading a fan fiction like written by Ryan Reynolds. The way they kept including like quotes from Man Enough, like I just
Oh
felt like it
wow.
was the whole nice pool scene that I was seeing again. I just think, in my opinion, if they went on SNL and honestly, if they weren't even part of the skit, if they just walked the carpet, sat there, fine. You're famous, you have things to attend to. We all can understand that. But the joke, that part, that just really, I don't think it sit well with most of the people. Like, most people were like, how are you joking about that? Like, if if this was serious to you, if this was true, you wouldn't joke about it, especially since it's your wife,
Yeah.
you know?
From a fan's perspective, do you think they can come back, or and
I
are they
think
done, or what's the
I
path?
honestly I think it's almost too far gone because it doesn't seem like they're trying to, I don't know, back down. They definitely seem like they still want to fight this. I think like in their heads they think that like they're untouchable in a way, like no, people will always love us. But I've got to say like yes, there's a few people probably like on TikTok that still support them, but it's like very few. Sometimes I think those people are being paid because I'm like I don't know how like these thoughts are in your head because it's just so wrong. But I don't think it's gonna be easy to come back from this. I just don't think people will want to support them, especially that they saw like, oh, like they shunned Justin Baldoni. They're so powerful that they can get the whole cast to do that. Put him in the basement when this guy was working on this movie for years and we still never saw his cut. And that is very sad. Like it's not just like, oh, they're bullies. It's like they're fine with destroying someone just to like get the next step, which honestly, I don't know why, because they're pretty rich. Like they can go have their own production company, and Blake can be the director she's always wanted to be. I just don't know why they like to go in. And Blake said it herself. There's a clip from Forbes 2022 like Woman Summit.
Yeah.
She says, "I like to be hired as an actress, but then I let them know like I want more authorship. I want to like she knows what she's doing. She Blake's own worst enemy are her old clips. Like there's just so many stuff where I'm like, dude, it's not sitting well for you."
And she said, well, of course, at the heart of her complaints there's two things: sexual harassment and a smear campaign that says, all this bad press that came up about me was orchestrated by you. And of course, Bryan Freedman is saying, no, at the heart of this, do not blame all the snarky comments with reporters and snapping back at people and the reputation that you built. Don't blame it on us. It's we didn't do.
Exactly.
And if you hired someone to amplify or bring back some of those old clips when you need it, if Baldoni's guilty of that, I don't think it's that terrible. If someone's going after me tooth and nail with an accusation that is going to end my career, end my life, I would say, wait a minute, this is who they are. Find those things and get them out there. I don't think that's so bad. If that's the case, I have no
Yeah,
evidence that it is.
it's not like they manipulated these. like let's say these videos that came up, and the biggest video, like the biggest resurfaced video that really hurt Blake was her interview with Kirsty Flaw, like from years ago, where she was pregnant and Kirsty was congratulating her, and she was like, everyone knew she was pregnant at this point, like she was pretty pregnant, so she just told her like, congrats on your bump, and when she's like, congrats on your bump, it was a very rude interview. I
Yeah,
actually
chubby.
spoke with Kirsty
She
Flaw
called her
about
chubby,
this.
basically. That's not okay.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I couldn't imagine being that interviewer. I would feel so awkward. But Kirsty said, like, no one paid her to post that. She just, like, it was a great opportunity because everyone was talking about Blake being rude, which makes sense as a creator. Like, yeah, you do that because you're going to get views on it. I don't think they understand, like, and even when you read through the text messages that they provided in, like, the lawsuit, the amended lawsuit, it sounds like Justin's team is literally saying like, wow, we really don't need to do anything. Like the internet is doing it itself. Like, and that's true. That happens to a lot of people. They want to say they sent bots or whatnot. Like, no, it's really just people not approving of the behaviors that they're seeing from you. And I
That's
think
right.
it's hard for them to understand because they think they're untouchable. Like I
Well,
said.
I got to say, as it goes forward and gets into discovery, those two other women, if they got to get the courage to come forward and stand behind what they complained about, if in fact they did, Blake better get them forward or it's donezo. And Sony's got to say something. That's what could set her free. But it doesn't look like any that's happening. But Steph with the deets on TikTok. Congratulations on your massive following and all the great work you do. And thanks for spending some time with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I got something great for you because it's big major lawyer week here at the Hot Mics podcast. We've got ASAP Rocky's attorney, Joe Tacopina. I mean, this guy came in from New York, Big Joe. They call him Big Taco. And ASAP Rocky gets a not guilty verdict. He lunges into his wife's lap in the courtroom. Joe is in here in his sweats. He's a very buff guy. We're going to talk to him about that incredible moment in just a second. Hot Mics with Billy Bush is presented by LA Golf, and we're back in 60 seconds. Hot Mics with Billy Bush brought to you by LA Golf. Upgrade your game. Take your golf experience to the next level at lagolf.com. And for all the sports fans out there, don't miss a beat with TuneIn Premium. Unlock access to the biggest college football and basketball games, every NHL game with no blackouts, and commercial-free ESPN radio to keep you up to date on all the breaking news around the sports world. Plus, enjoy over 300 commercial-free music stations to suit every mood or activity, whether you're into today's hits, classic rock, smooth jazz, country roads, or anything in between. There's even over 100 mood stations to help you unwind and chill out. Stay informed with commercial-free CNN, Fox News Radio, MSNBC, and more with fewer ads and no interruptions. Tune in to 100,000 global radio stations and podcasts and get breaking news and sports talk anytime, anywhere. Go to tunein.com/premium and sign up today to unlock it all. Welcome back to Hot Mics with Billy Bush, presented by LA Golf. Yesterday, ASAP Rocky was found not guilty in his felony assault trial. The jury acquitted him of firing a semi-automatic handgun at his former friend and ASAP mob member, ASAP Relly, in an altercation in November 2021. ASAP's girlfriend, the mother of his beautiful children, Rihanna, in the courthouse yesterday when the verdict was read. It got emotional. Not guilty. Oh my God! Look at him. He just goes. He plows through somebody right over the barricade into Rihanna's lap. Unbelievably emotional scene there. And joining me right now is ASAP's attorney, Joe Tacopina. Joe, wow! You must. First of all, you must be exhausted. Did you go out with Rihanna and Rocky last night?
Yeah, we had a late night. So yes, I'm hurting.
Yeah, what did we have? Some Chris? What did we sip on? Some tequila?
They had, they busted out some wine that was like, I don't know, like
high end.
Really high end. I mean, I couldn't even read the labels. That's how high end it was. Like, Côte de Rune or something like that. Some really funky stuff.
You're a simple guy from Brooklyn. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I'm used to Bola, so it wasn't anything like that.
So, Joe, when Rocky, that was the first of two counts. I mean, he wasn't done yet. That was the first not guilty, and he
Correct.
just leapt over the. When he did that, what were you thinking? Like, get back in your seat?
I wasn't thinking anything because I didn't see him leave. You understand this? There were 2 counts, like you just said, Billy. And, I've seen jurors do crazy things. Like they could convict on one and acquit on another. Just who knows? But more importantly, I was laser focused on the clerk reading the verdict. And there were 2 counts, and the first count was not guilty. And so I'm looking at him for the second count. I didn't notice Rocky had peeled off. So I looked over to the right to tell him, okay, one more, and he was gone. I said to my partner, Chad, I said, where'd he go? Did he leave? Like I thought it was over. He didn't even say goodbye. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah. Thank you.
I look back and I heard the commotion. I look back and I see him like, I don't know, like body surfing. It was surreal to me. And I was like, I told my partner, go get him. There's another count.
It would be very embarrassing if after that celebration.
God forbid, believe me, that went through my head. Like, everyone's screaming, he's hugging Rihanna, and they're body surfing. And what if they came back on the second count guilty? It was like, ugh. So, but of course, I didn't think that was going to happen. I was confident the day before. When there was a 3-hour verdict in a 1-month trial, I understood it was most likely in our favor.
Yeah.
But, still, we had to hear it. And so I brought him back. I said, Rocky, one more count. And then once it was clear, then the raw emotions just exploded. And it was a beautiful thing because it was a 3-year journey for us.
You got very close to Rocky and Rihanna. You got very emotional. In your summation in the end, I could see you got choked up in a moment. You found love in this family. How? Why? Is this time in the home? What is this?
It's just, look, whenever I'm representing someone in a fight for their life, and it wasn't, when I say life, not the death penalty, obviously, but, their liberty, and it is their life, because he would have been peeled away from his kids for a decade or more, and their babies. And so, it's a fight for their life in the sense that their life would be destroyed, and that family's life would have been upended. So when you're representing someone, whether it's Rocky or some unknown individual in the same situation, you have to take it personally. You have to be involved. You have to treat them like family. You have to have a bunker mentality. And if you don't, I don't think you're doing them, I think you're doing them a disservice. And so I do that with all clients. Rocky in particular, we became very close because this was a 3-year journey to justice. It wasn't like, he got charged last year. This was back in 2022 he was charged. And I remember having to run to LA when all this broke. So, it's been a long journey, and the more I got to know him, the more I was like, this guy's special, and he really is, and Rihanna's special. And I don't mean because they're celebrities. I represent a lot of those, Billy. They were just most humble, genuine, beautiful people. Rihanna's one of the most powerful women in the world, a billionaire in her own right. She acts like she's the same girl who came out of Barbados. I mean, she's as humble as could be, as willing to give as can be. She's
willing to leave her baby with you. Didn't you go to their house and she put her baby in your arms?
Well, it wasn't so much her, it was more Rocky, but yeah, for the Super Bowl.
Rocky said, here, Uncle Joe.
When she sang at the Super Bowl, they invited me, and so that was in Arizona, and they rented this big castle like in the desert, literally, apart from everything else. And that was I've never been to the Super Bowl before. And so I was invited to A-Rod's Super Bowl party, Mike Rubin's Super Bowl party. So all these Super Bowl parties I was invited to. I was like, this is supposed to be great. This is supposed to be great fun and whatever. And I'd never been to a Super Bowl party or a Super Bowl. So Rocky said, well, come have dinner with us early. The babies will go to sleep. We'll talk. We'll catch up. Rihanna will be here. And then you can take off. And I said, okay. It was 6 o'clock. 6 turned into 8, 9. And then Rihanna had to get ready for her performance next day. So she was getting her hair done and nails. And that was the end of Rihanna. Rocky and I are talking. He has the baby. His mom was there, but his mom went to bed. His mom's an amazing woman also. It was just us and the baby. And at this time, RZA was like, a few months old, 6 months old, I think, 8 months old. And Rocky then said, listen, I'm going to get a pedicure. Can you just hold him for a minute? And so
Rocky gets a pedicure.
Rocky. First of all, I didn't even know what a pedicure was, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Brooklyn guy does not get pedicures. Come on.
We don't get pedicures. Hey. So anyway, he gets this pedicure, and I'm seeing them set up this intricate thing here with buckets on the floor and foot massages. I'm like, I said, how long does a pedicure take? I thought it was like you just clip your toenails or something. And he's like, I'll be done with an hour and a half. I'm like, hour and a half? I said, Rocky, I'm holding the baby for an hour and a half. Is that cool? I'm like, oh, yeah, it's cool.
Not really. I'm going to a Super Bowl
no,
party.
I wasn't.
I've never been to one.
That was the end of that.
You never went?
I never went.
Oh,
so I babysat, and then when he was done, we hung out his patio there and had some of his whiskey. That has a great whiskey brand called Prince Street or something like that. And it's, that was my night. I basically stayed there all night.
For a guy look, Rocky's been in trouble before, right? I mean, in Stockholm, he got into a little bit of an incident. He was found guilty. This is over in Sweden.
Yeah.
Look, they gave him a suspended sentence, but you can't counsel him, even after this, where he was holding a prop gun, right. It was determined. Do you counsel him to say, okay, now let's be done with anything like this. You've got kids. You've got this beautiful wife. You've got a new lease on life. Enough.
He's got it. I mean, okay. He does have it, Billy, because the Sweden thing was really, I know that very well. It was not his fault. It was a bunch of guys that see like 5 black guys walking around in Sweden and are like thinking they're drug dealers and kept pursuing them for drugs. And they were like, get away from us. We don't sell drugs. They're like, come on, man. We want some. We have money. And, Rocky security guys snapped. One point, this guy kept coming to Rocky. He just literally tossed him. It turned out to be on video, and it wasn't a violent toss. It was just a get off me toss.
But a guy like that, you gotta.
But he's got to be. He knows that. He
stuff.
knows that. He's after November 6, 2021, the day of this incident. Rocky's never walked around without security again. And that's, the whole cause of this is he didn't have security with him. If he had his security
so the night
staff,
of this incident,
like John with him, John is the best security guy I've ever met. If John were with him that day, this never would have happened.
Joe Tacopina is with us, the attorney for A$AP Rocky, not guilty yesterday. Joe did a great job. He's, up all night till 4 o'clock in the morning putting together a 120-page summation, delivers it. I have to imagine what was what was the thing that worked most in your favor? Was it the fact that A$AP Relly was maybe the worst witness that ever took the stand ever in the history of any case?
Well, I said that to the jury. I said I think you guys had a front row seat to the worst witness in the history of American jurisprudence, because he imploded in a way I've never seen a witness implode. People were touting my cross-examination, and I'm known as a very good, aggressive.
Here's a guy claiming that A$AP Rocky fired an actual gun, right, and it hit him in the knuckles and grazed his skin. There was nothing found on the scene. There was no ballistics found by police. Right. But then Relly says he went back to the scene himself
an hour and a half later
and found casings and other such things.
Right where the police were searching.
And then he on the stand, he's cursing like the
cursed
jury.
At me.
He's cursing you. He's spitting
threw a water bottle. Basically told me I don't want to answer any more questions. And then when I caught him in lies, he said, "Yeah, I just lied because I didn't want to talk to you anymore." I mean, I said, he literally had 4 answers for one question once. I said, "Did you say this previously?" He said, "Yes, no, maybe, I don't recall." I swear to God, 4 answers to one question. So I looked at him. I said, "Well, just pick one for the jury. Whatever one you want, just pick one for the jury." The jurors were laughing at him at some point, and they just stopped looking at him. And, it was like, it literally was the worst witness I've ever seen. And it wasn't just my opinion. It was the opinion of many others.
So if you had lost this case, it would have been like, oh, God. I mean, like you have to go hang up your stirrups.
If I lost this, look, you never know what a jury's going to do. There's video of what appears to be a gun in Rocky's hand, and people were suggesting he take it. People thought I was crazy when I.
A lot of people don't think it was a prop gun, by the way. The one thing that your prosecutor said, your opposition, John Lewin, who is opposing counsel, he said, what real rapper holds prop guns? I mean,
well, that's I think that was one of his flaws in this case. I think he was very stereotypical in how he generalized people. What real rapper holds prop guns? That sounds a little racist to me, honestly. So did
you. Hated this guy, this prosecutor. You really hated him.
I was not a fan. I've tried 120.
I saw the way you guys interacted.
Really, I've tried 120 jury trials. I was a prosecutor for myself, and I've been defense lawyer for a long time. And I've gone against adversaries that we've clashed, and we butt heads and we fight hard and whatever. It's never gotten really personal with anyone. It's I don't mind hard chargers. I'm a hard charger. I don't mind people who fight to win. So do I. This was different. This was different than anything I've ever seen. There's a track record and history with this guy that speaks for itself. That speaks for itself. I mean, he's got, more disciplinary complaints filed against him. He's got appellate courts making findings about his conduct. It got personal because he made it personal. And
is this his first loss?
I heard someone say that.
I heard someone say that this is the prosecutor's first loss. He got handed to him by Joe Tacopina.
Well, it
Joe,
was my pleasure.
I'll tell you what definitely is not a prop gun. The ones that are coming out of your sleeves right
here?
now. I got to say,
these are registered,
these are
though.
not
They're
prop
registered.
guns.
I mean, I have trouble
These
getting
are
through
real.
the airport. When I have to go to the
Look
airport,
at the size of those, Joe. What are you doing to yourself? What do you, I mean, how do you doing?
It's the food. It's just I keep the forks,
My God, he's very powerful. So look, this behind you've represented a lot of, high-profile people. Where do you put this one in the all-timers?
Look, this is up there. If not there was an emotional tie to Rocky and Rihanna, a very strong emotional tie. Like Rocky, the people don't know things about Rocky. Like he's done charitable works. He goes back to Harlem and goes to projects where he grew up and gives food and sneakers and stuff. He doesn't publicize it. He doesn't publicize that stuff. I know what he does. He's such a good person. He's even with my son who has a clothing line called Davide. He's starting it. Rocky's embraced him and helped him do that. He's just such a good. Rihanna wore one of his shirts one day, and that was the end of that. He just is such a good person. He's humble. Rihanna, who is successful and wealthy as she is, and on top of the world, she's humble. I generally fell in love with these people, and they called me family, and I call them family, and this would have hurt me if that verdict didn't go the right way. And that's why I fought so hard. I mean, the judge commented, he said, "You didn't leave a stone unturned." I mean, how do you do that? How did you do this in every case? I said, yeah, it's the only way to do it. He said, I've never seen this before, because I did a 5.5 hour summation where I hit every point. And I stopped at one point. I said to the jury, listen, I'm sorry, but the journey to justice is not a speedy one. And I can't sit down thinking I may have not said something that you wanted to hear, some argument I need to present to you, because I don't know what you're all thinking. But I have an awesome responsibility of having his fate in my hands, which I'm soon going to pass over to you. But
kids,
I can't.
The little RZA in his little suit coming into court.
Oh my God!
Wait a minute.
Adorable.
I have to ask you: was that now that it's all over behind us? Was that like an ultimate move for the jury, or what?
It's not. Believe me, it wasn't. As a matter of fact,
it had a nice effect, though.
Who knows? Because the prosecutor actually used it against him in his summation, which I thought was a mistake again.
By saying he brought these kids in here, look at this, to make you feel badly.
Right. I mean, that was I don't know where that argument came from. I mean, honestly, it was a bit offensive to me, and Rocky, I know, was offended by that, because the reason they came in that day, like Rihanna's been there every day, but the reason they came in that day,
the nanny was off.
No, it was the nanny was there also helping, but the reason they came in is because that day after summations, the judge had indicated he was going to go give the case to the jury. And if the jury had the case and they came to a quick, result here and a verdict, and the verdict didn't go his way, he was going in.
That was his last time
That could
to
have been
see
the
them
last time he
himself.
could have seen his kids.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, for anyone to pretend that was a ploy or they were mocked at, and it's awful, because you don't understand what that family was going through. So that's why Rocky and Rihanna in particular had those kids there that day. So they were not disruptive. I mean, the little baby stayed outside the courtroom. RZA, was a little gentleman, stayed inside, but for a little period of time, and then they took him out.
Joe Tacopina, who represented A$AP Rocky, sitting there with the whole family. Rihanna right behind him, not guilty. A big win for Joe, and obviously mostly for Rocky and Rihanna. But afterwards, Rocky gave you the nickname. He calls you A$AP Joe.
Yeah.
But you're also Big Taco.
Yeah, there's.
And now online, they're combining it. You're A$AP Taco. Do you know that?
I've heard. I didn't know. I don't really go online that much.
There's a lot of love for A$AP Taco. By the way, you're not getting a new A$AP. You see, A$AP Relly, this is a reassignment of an A$AP. They took his A$AP and they gave it to you. He's definitely not.
A$AP Relly's
He's
gone.
just Relly.
He's out of the A$AP conglomerate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm the new A$AP, I guess, right?
So it's a high honor. Welcome.
I feel honored. Yes, feel very honored. So.
Should put out an album or something.
I got to tell you that those guys are, but what A$AP stands for, right? Always strive and prosper. It's not a bunch of like thugs. It's not some rappers that will get together. These are always strive and prosper. Was actually a mantra for these kids who all grew up in the worst settings, worst environments, the ghetto, the projects, homeless shelters, and they did this sort of group, this conglomerate to better themselves and to push each other, to support each other. Some of them made it in music, some of them made it in fashion, some of them made it in other things, and it was really cool. Like this kid, the witness we had, Jamel Phillips, 12, they called him ASAP 12. I mean, he was one of the nicest people I've ever met, and he came into court. He's a kid who grew up in the projects. As a matter of fact, Relly, he was one of the kids at the scene that day, and Relly was following him, saying, "You live in the projects. You're not successful. You live in the projects." Trying to knock everyone down. He came in with a tie and a suit, and no one told him to do that. But he respected the court process. And when he was answering questions from Lewin, who screamed at him for over 2 hours, I mean, like he was a serial killer, he didn't lose his cool once. He responded to every question, and he was responsive. And
That's
when
a
he was
good
talking,
witness.
he was looking at the jury, looking around. I mean, it was incredible to see him. And he never lost his cool. And he was so. And I said to the jury at the end of the day, that was a credible witness when you compare him to Relly, who was combative, insulting, volatile, admitted to lying, did lie, and then you have Twelvey, who was such a nice person, and then to be mocked. I mean, he used a street term, which was, you feel me? You feel me? And the prosecutor, I couldn't believe I heard this, actually
Feel me.
mocked him and said, "No, I don't feel you. I don't feel you. I don't know what that means, feel you." And I was like, oh my God, how insensitive is that? But, he was just a good guy. And when you compare that to that really, who was as I said,
The worst witness in the history of a trial.
Glorified train wreck. The worst witness in American jurisprudence history.
Joe Tacopina, I couldn't let you leave without that. You've represented Trump twice, right?
Yeah.
Do you speak to the Donald? Do you text him?
Sure. I got a congratulations message from him and his.
Will you
his
tell
team.
him hello from me? I haven't talked to the guy in many years. I also know him.
I heard, one of my trials I did with him, you and him came up quite a lot, like 15 times. I heard.
They kept running that damn. Now
I
you
heard
know
of a
how I
tape.
feel.
I heard
Every
a
time
tape of the two of you guys like 15 times, and I kept saying, "Judge, why is this relevant to a claim of rape from 30 years ago? Why is this that?" It is. And okay, there was no legal basis. It was just like, but I said, "Judge, that keep playing the tape. I think once was enough. It's 15 times now." And Judge was like, "Yeah, I bet you don't like it." I'm like, yeah.
This is the hell that I lived in for 5 years. I would sit there and every
Poor you.
cable channel and
you
more.
didn't do anything wrong. You're just an interviewer. I mean, like, holy moly.
Well, somebody had to take the beating. Anyway, when you text him, you got to text him. They're with me today, and I want him on Hot Mics. I want the Donald on Hot Mics, a reunion unlike any other. And I've been really thinking about how I'm going to start that interview.
Listen, I know he loves you because we talked about that tape. So,
well, I had many, many laughs with him over the years. What did he say?
That tape's nonsense. It's locker room talk, and Billy's a great guy, and we were just talking. He's my buddy, and
I was talking at him. Yeah, that's my guy. So listen, Joe, I got to say, of all your victories, this one is a great one.
It is.
Yeah. And I know you got more cases coming up. At least take a couple of days. Joe Tacopina, ASAP Rocky, not guilty. Rihanna, very happy. I think your son's clothing line, by the way, could have a little under the Fenty brand, might do very well.
No kidding.
The big
Billy,
taco.
thank you so much,
ASAP Taco.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much. All right, coming up, Skinny Vinny, my assistant. I'm giving him $5,000 if he loses 50 pounds in 6 months, and he is roaring down the scale, is what I'm hearing. Skinny Vinny, the Slim Reaper, weighs in just a second here. Hot Mics with Billy Bush, sponsored by LA Golf. Take your swing to the next level with LA Golf's cutting-edge technology. Visit lagolf.com and upgrade your game. And for all you sports fanatics, go big with TuneIn Premium and unlock the biggest college football and basketball games, every NHL game with no blackouts, and commercial-free ESPN radio. Stay in the game all year long with TuneIn Premium. Plus, premium users can enjoy over 300 commercial-free music stations, from today's hits to smooth jazz, classic rock, country roads, and everything in between. Hear all your favorite stations and more, all in one place, and keep music flowing. If you want to stay up to date with the latest news, TuneIn has got you covered. Listen to your favorite news stations like CNN, Fox News Radio, MSNBC, and more, all with fewer ads so you can get back to what's important. Premium listeners can listen to over 100,000 global stations and podcasts on TuneIn, so you can stay connected with breaking news, sports talk, and top music anytime, anywhere. Unlock all of it by visiting tunein.com/premium and sign up today.
Mostly Blake.
And welcome back to Hot Mics with Billy Bush. Skinny Vinny, the Slim Reaper, is in the house, but you've been monitoring YouTube right there. So what's up in the chat there? Some Baldoni Blake stuff?
Yeah, we got Don Wells. Why don't Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds just get their own movie, direct, produce, etc.?
By
They're
the way,
supposed to be such creative forces, right?
you know, that's interesting. That Dawn Wells, that's she's one of the stars of Gilligan's Island. I didn't know she was listening or weighing in. Dawn Wells played. What is Dawn Wells was the cute little character on Gilligan's? I can't remember, but she was definitely part of the part of it. Yeah, that's right. I mean, look, you've got everything you need. All the tools are there to develop your own projects. I think Blake is, would like to be a Reese Witherspoon, and she options all kinds of books and materials, and she turns them into incredible series. And she does it all the time, and that's what Blake wants to do. But she saw this one, felt it connected, felt connected to it, and wanted it. But it belonged to Baldoni. Anyway, let's take a look. So, Skinny Vinny, we're doing this beautiful thing because we believe in health here at Hot Mics, and like I said, people come to Hollywood to get rich, famous, and skinny. But the greatest of these is skinny. You were 267 as a 5'7" guy, which means 5'6.5", and you're rounding up. But I'm not. Everyone rounds up.
Absolutely.
I say 5'10". I'm 5'9 3/4". All right. I'm just gonna say that between you and me. Yeah. But anyway, you dropped the first week. You dropped 10 pounds, and then Super Bowl hit, and you held.
Yeah.
Which is pretty great. Where are we now? Do we have a little weigh-in action for Skinny Vinny? Can we roll that in? Or? All right. Let's see it. What's the number? Ooh. How much are you weighing now? You look, I can see it come out of the face a little. 251.
Mm-hmm.
You are 16 pounds down.
Yeah.
Dude.
At the end of the third week. That's 3 weeks in.
So what is it? The late night munchies? What
was the issue?
Yeah, well, what have you changed?
Oh yeah, late night eating late. I don't eat past 6:30.
I know you're cutting out the buns and all those things. Getting everyone in LA doesn't eat bread.
Yeah. I eat carbs with maybe one meal a day.
Yeah, that's nice. Earlier, right?
Yeah.
Earlier the better.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, good for you, man.
Yeah.
Looking absolutely very, very sexy.
I'm feeling way better.
So
Definitely.
I got one little item here left, and I was looking at the ticket sales. Beyonce launched her tour, and she announced 6 dates in London for the Cowboy Carter tour. Now, coming off of the Grammys, winning Best Album, she launches the tour. The ticket sales not so good in London. There's some seats available. I think they're very expensive. The up front, it's like $2,000. Nosebleeds are like $120. And then at the same time, she launches this new perfume, just drops it over the weekend, called C'est Lumière by Beyonce. And I could say, people are so damn funny in the comments section. It just makes me laugh. I mean, they've had it. Her fans, they love her, and we all love her. B, we love you, girl, but this is really funny. B, we're fighting for our lives out here, girl. Until you stop Ticketmaster from robbing us, stay off the internets. The INNANETZ, the internets. Oh, man, do I love that. Girl, we out of money. B, please, one thing at a time. We are poor. Oh, my gosh. Are we paying your bills? Are we paying your telephone bills? Are we paying your automo bills? Giselle, that's her middle name. I think you should chill. Girl, do you have gambling debts like Bruno? Holy mackerel. Oh, my God. Baby, we are fed up. Please find us something safe to do and stop talking to us when your hand is out. Oh, my God. I'm on a budget. Oh, man. I'm glad y'all started to speak up. She's draining my pockets, too. Just get her. Okay. This is a riot. Someone said, put Jay-Z on child support. Okay, well, that's it for us. Hot Mics, just so hot today. Look at Legal Eagle Week here. Bryan Freedman, Justin Baldoni's lawyer on Monday, and ASAP Rocky's lawyer, Joe Tacopina, in studio with us today after a huge not guilty verdict. Imagine if he had to go to jail, and Rihanna and the little kids right there would have been unbelievable. So that's it for us. We'll catch you back here on Monday. Until then, if you wouldn't mind, hit the subscribe button on the bottom of our YouTube page at Hot Mics with Billy Bush. And we will see you. By the way, thanks to our friends at LA Golf, most importantly, for sponsoring the show. Literally changed my golf game. The new driver is out. And if you're a golfer like me, I'm telling you, it's not going in the woods anymore. It's going straight and far. See you back here on Monday. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.